I have a question for you. Are you in a place in life where you're at a crossroad? Whether it be in your work, your relationship, a loss in your life, children, where you're living, what you're doing. I have Bridget Summers with me today, a dear friend and a past client of mine, and she is kind enough to join me and share her story as Bridget, you are at a crossroad in your life right now.
Oh my, there were so many intersections. Oh my, there were so many intersections where my roads were crossing. Yes, there was a change in my life. There was a change in my residence, a change in my career.
So I met Bridget and your lovely husband, who sadly passed last year. I moved Bridget and your family. It's been 4 years ago, I believe.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can't believe that. And beautiful home, beautiful family, and this news came upon you very quickly, and it literally flipped you on your head very, very fast, and a lot has changed very quickly for you.
A lot changed yes.
So in the time we've been re-entering each other's life, and we're at least I'm grateful for that. Bridget is amazing, as you'll hear on this interview today. You have a beautiful son, and you've gone through this loss, and you've hit a crossroad in your life where you're revamping your world and your work.
Everything. Yes.
So I think, Bridget, there are a lot of people out there, especially post the changes in the world, that are moving into a place where they have big decisions to make and they get stuck. And you and I have spent a lot of time and really coaching with one another about what the next years look like for you. And I thought it'd be fun to share your story and maybe shed some light for people that are in this situation on what you're doing to help move the needle. What do you think?
Sounds good. Let's give it a shot.
Let's do that. Okay.
All right. Where do I begin?
Well, when we met at your home last year and decided to put it on the market, that was the beginning, because you were really, a very important role, a mom, and you had a career husband who was kind of running the show. So what did that mean to you when you had to take that responsibility on, and how did you do it?
Very good question. It did start for me. Well, if I go further back, it started for me when my family decided to leave the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and relocate here in Minnesota. Love it. We are excited to be here. We chose this out of anywhere in the country that we could have lived in. We met Cari Ann then, and I'm very grateful for it. And so, yes, I sought you out too. I would never let you out of my life. But we bought a beautiful home, and our plan was to start. We were going to re-enter the career in the workforce and raise our son and give him a beautiful education and just start the next chapter of our lives.
Right.
It didn't turn out that way. No. My husband was diagnosed with a terminal cancer about 6 months after we moved here. And then the world went through COVID. And it was a really trying time. Trying to understand what was happening around us in the world and what was happening at home, and how my role was changing and what the expectations were. And while I was in it, I just did what I had to do.
Which is where I think anybody going through a situation like that, you're really forced to just drive through and manage life and cope, right? The coping mechanism kicks into high gear, and that's all you can do is cope.
Absolutely. And the tricky part about coping, and this is where I think some people can go wrong, is they do it and they just get through it, but they don't take enough stock to figure out what it meant, what it did to them, whether or not it was a healthy mechanisms that they were using, the tools that they used.
The tools.
The tools. So after my husband passed and I was faced with this new reality of, oh, wow, this was not the life that I planned. This is not the chapter that we were trying to write. And, oh, my goodness, I'm all alone. Oh, this is an emotional story to tell. I was all alone, and yes, now I was the primary person raising my son, which I was not supposed to be doing alone. I am an older mom. It's just my son and myself here in Minnesota. And
the why changes when there's a loss. The whole, grounding effect of the why and what you're doing when you miss that missing link, which is that partner in your life. This is way bigger than just a home. This is your life you're talking about. Like, how do you function day in and day out? What do you do? What is your purpose?
What is your purpose? Oh my gosh.
Right.
That's a really good segue. And that was my question. I said, oh, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to move forward?
And you're not alone. One of the reasons we're doing this interview is there's a lot of people, men and women alike, all ages, that are going through a loss or a major change in your life. And the point of this is to provide that nugget or that layer of inspiration to say there are solutions and there are support mechanisms and people out there that love you and want to be a part of that growth period that is so essential.
Yes.
Because life is short, my friends. And what is the point if you're not moving forward, right?
Well, it's almost like you wrote this for me.
Yeah.
Because, exactly. I said, life is short. What is the point? How much time am I going to waste trying to figure this all out? And I can assure you that almost everyone coming off the heels of COVID has been trying to rethink their purpose.
Totally.
And the whys and the hows to have a better balance.
Absolutely, that's true. The balance is the biggest. I think balance is a big word for everybody out there, regardless of what your story is. For this story, I think the balance is the what's next, because the foundation of any family, any couple out there who's experiencing a loss rocks your world, man. I mean, it's a big thing, and Bridget has done a beautiful job in a beautiful way, because I came into the picture not long after loss happened, and you've been just an inspiration to watch. And that's kind of, you and I spent a lot of time together talking about this because we just have that, thing. Like, we're connected that way. So we were in the car. So now we're going to jump into what your grounding board is and where you're at right now and how you can inspire others going through this on what the next step is. Because we talked about what is the next step a lot.
Well, I would say the first step, it really is all about the mindset.
It really is.
Your reality is what you believe. Your happiness is what you make of it. Your trauma doesn't have to be the end of your story. And if you let your trauma be the end of your story, then it's almost as though you are wasting an opportunity to truly live and to find your purpose and to be happy. And I decided that I wanted to be happy and I wanted to make an impact, and I had to move forward for my family. Cari Ann has only met the one son, my son that I have with my husband. But I have an older son because I was a young mom.
Yeah.
I have two. And I tell you that they're both struggling with their whys, especially my older son. So I had to do some deep soul searching, and it was difficult because I didn't have my sounding board anymore. So some of the things I did, right? Is that what
Yeah.
we're talking about? Do you want to know
Yeah.
what I did? I didn't trust
Yeah.
myself to make a decision. And so I really and truly fostered a community around me.
Yes,
I
you did.
mentioned that I was here by myself and with my youngest. And I didn't trust myself to make decisions because I think a lot of it was grief related. I did some
Yeah.
things that you shouldn't do when you're grieving.
Yeah.
And so I made a concerted effort to have people around me that I trust, that I respect, that care about me, that I care about them.
Yep.
And I foster those relationships. And if people call and they say, hey, are you free? Can you
Yes.
come? I need you. I say absolutely, because they absolutely do it for me. And when I need it, I call and I say, hey, I'm having a hard time. So I would think the first thing to do is to assess, like truly look at your community, because wow, I think
Yeah.
my community is what helped me
Absolutely.
stand up. So, there was a point where I wasn't standing on my own.
No, well, and I think everyone, regardless of what the why is, there is a community for you if you allow it in. Right?
If you seek it out and allow it in.
That's right. And I think a lot of people forget that in a world that's so driven by social media and a non-human relationship component. I don't know how else to say it. That seems to be very much interrupting the human relationship, the one-on-one, the igniting and fueling, I call it, of inspired stories and the nuggets. I always say the nuggets and the moving the needle. The best way to do that is physically together,
In
having a
person.
conversation and really getting, into the weeds, I always say, about the why, about the when, about the how, what are the solutions to get to the next step. And these are the steps. We can't change what's happened,
No.
whatever those things are in life, whether it's divorce or loss of death, by death, children, spouses, parents,
Jobs.
these things happen. The big question is how are you going to deal with it?
You really hit on it, Cari Ann. It is in-person, intimate, candid conversations with people that you trust and you love. That's the
Yeah.
beginning.
That's the very beginning. That's not even the solution yet. That's just opening the door. That's the first step. And it's not going to happen on the computer or even
No.
on the phone, really.
I mean, it's great for saying, hey, are you available? But that's about the extent of it, right? Yeah, I do cherish every relationship that I worked hard to foster. So that was where it started for me.
Yeah.
What happened next? Let me
Well,
see.
in my mind, in visiting with you, there was a big question on what am I going to do with my life now? What am I doing? Am I going to work?
Good
Am I
grief.
going? And that's been a big thing. I just dragged you to the kind of this coaching event. I'm all about the mastermind and meeting new people and networking. Right? I think it's powerful.
You
stuff.
did. Oh my, you did it. So Cari Ann, in all of her wisdom, and it was the right thing to do, so I'm not angry. I'm very grateful.
Dragged her
I think.
out.
She dragged me out because
Literally.
a friend calls and says, you need to do this. And what do I say? I said, yes, I foster my relationships.
Yeah.
I foster my relationships.
That's awesome.
So I go, and oh my gosh.
It was incredible.
It was incredible, and it was the energy, it was the community, it was the inspiration, and just the idea that I can do something, I can do anything I want, and all I need are the right people around
That's
me
right.
who believe that I can. For the times when I forget that I can.
So share with them from your lens what this experience was so they understand.
Cari Ann took me to a mastermind, and it was a group of
Men and women.
beautiful people, men and women, and I do believe it was Was it mostly for women? But men,
Yeah.
because I don't know why we do this. I believe that people, all people, men, women, and whatever else we are saying, all of us, we need the support. So it was a room full of beautiful people, and Kelly Johnner Byrne. Can I say it?
Yeah,
Can we say
we'll
it?
drop her because
Kelly
she's really
Johnner
incredible.
Byrne.
Kelly is somebody I met maybe, gosh, it's been a long time, at least a decade or longer. And we even interviewed her. Carter and I have interviewed with her, and we'll add that link here because she's really quite a powerful personality. And she does this women's network. And so I picked up tickets and insisted Miss Bridget here join me.
It was the
and
right
that
thing
was
to do.
that was a game changer, I think.
I sat there and I don't even know what she did or said. I just knew that I needed to be around her, near her, listening to her. In order to level up or to even figure out what my why was, I needed to be around people who could ask me the right questions, the right pointed questions. I love my friends and I love my family.
Yep.
But they're all super supportive, and you can do anything you want, Bridget.
Right.
But
that's a big loaded question, right? And a
Right.
statement, because that's a lot.
That's
like you've got a lot of passion, and you've
I'm
got a
multi.
lot of interest in a lot of different
Yes.
hobbies. So then it becomes, when Bridget and I talk, what moves the needle? Your time is valuable, and your time is valuable. And there's a part where you donate time because of friendship and leadership and coaching and things that are really important to you. And then there's the needle of providing a service that's valuable and is worth something. And that's a slippery slope when you're in a service-oriented business.
this is all very true.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in the conference with Kelly and her team, and if she is nothing else, she is a networking powerhouse.
Yeah, she is. That's her. She's a networker.
That is her superpower. And if you need to know someone who is a mover and a shaker and can help you get something done, you ask Kelly, and Kelly will give you that person.
She will.
So she did an exercise, and one of the things that she said to write down was the 3 things you want. And one of my things was, I want to work with Kelly. And so when the opportunity presented itself, I leaped. I said,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've been working with Kelly.
She's a coach.
She is a coach, which is hilarious because she will tell you that she does not like coaches. Yeah. I'm like, but Kelly, you're a coach. But
funny.
she is,
Yeah, she does say that.
She says that. I said, you got to stop saying that. You know, it's not good for the business. So I am also a certified life coach.
So let's talk about, because you and I, when we were sitting in your kitchen, I asked you what would fill your soul? Like what, I always use the word creme brulee. What's your creme brulee? Think outside the box. What would you love doing? And you said,
I want to help people. I like to change the world. I want to leave things better than when I found them. And that's just who I am. That's what I do. And I've always been that way. I feel like if I can help one person at a time better their situation, then I've done a good day's work.
Yeah.
And I built my career on that. I raised my family that way. I approach all of my relationships that way too. How can I make this better? But my journey began when I was trying to figure out my life purpose, and I found this institute. I said, this is very interesting. So I took this life purpose course. Turns out it was for coaching certification, and I love it. I love coaching. Everybody needs to be coached.
yeah, everybody needs a person that will inspire them and you can learn from each other. Even coaches learn from their clients, and they
Absolutely.
learn from you. They learn from you. So you are already thriving very quickly once you flip that switch and it came to you. You literally threw it out to the universe, and it came to you tenfold.
It did.
I messaged on our we were just together maybe a week and a half ago, and I texted you and said, "Be careful what you wish for."
I did.
And it's so true.
You really did.
Yeah,
say
I
that.
did.
And you're very right. And it was very pointed.
Yeah.
And your timing impeccable when you said that. So I was searching for my life purpose, and even though I am a certified life coach, and even though I want to change the world, I was also moved by another huge reason for wanting to move forward. And what was I pursuing? The answer to my why. My
Right.
why, it turns out, is my legacy.
And we all want that.
I want to leave a legacy for my boys where they are proud to call me their mother. They are inspired by the work that I've done, enough so that it's important enough for them to want to carry on with whatever it is I'm doing. Personally, or just to make sure that it sustains itself, I want to leave things better than when I found them.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I do.
And so inspirational, because this can turn a lot of different directions when you go through something like Bridget has gone through, and you're a perfect example of the very best outcome that can be found to lead a life that's filled with clarity and love and just really beautiful, pure thoughts, and just fills your soul with, and all the people around you, with nothing but goodness. That's what I love about your story.
You're so sweet.
Yeah, well, it's true.
So
Yeah.
the truth is, it's a lot of hard work.
It's a lot of hard
You
work.
wake up every morning and you have to tell yourself that, and I do smile when I wake up because I'm awake and I smile.
Yeah.
And it's a treat when you hear the birds chirping. And so that's how I start my mornings. I wake up and I'm thankful. I wake up and I want to figure out the one thing today that will make me lie down at night saying, okay, I did something that I'm proud of. And
That's right.
That's how
love that.
I approach my days.
And there's so many people that need to hear that, Bridget, because it's all in the lens. We're going to go back. It's all in the mindset and the lens, because bad things happen. And there are unpleasant people out there. And if you allow them to impact you in the wrong way, it changes your entire mindset and your entire energy, right? So as a person, we get to choose. We're going to lead with positive, impactful, beautiful, inspirational light, or not. And
True.
as a life coach, you're able to share your personal story like you are here right now today.
Yes.
And you're able to lead with an inspirational light that leaves a person's heart full. That's how I look at it. And what a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing is that. Really very cool.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So we're going to be sharing this interview with Bridget, and we're going to be adding her life coaching link. I wanted, before we finish today, talk about this retreat. I think you went to Michigan.
I did.
And you invited, it just literally, she didn't even advertise this. She ended up pulling a group of women together, all that had lost somebody in their life. Not all spouses. There was some other losses in there as well. But this entire group, very quickly, because your life coaching license and the business launch just recently happened.
Yes.
So how did that come together, and how do you see the next year playing out now that you started?
You're so sweet.
Yeah.
So Cari Ann combined a couple of things. I responded to, I don't know, what would we call that when something was brought to me? I call it karma, the universe. And I decided that it was the right thing to do to open up my home and host an impromptu, and I think it was 2 weeks or less, an impromptu coaching session right before the holidays for widows and people who were going through trauma and grief. It wasn't even widows. It was just people going through trauma and grief.
Okay.
Before the holidays. And
Oh, that's perfect too. That's why you did it.
I think it was because I was struggling.
So this was after you met Kelly and you were looking at and you went through the process to
Yes.
get your license. And then just impromptu, you put this out to the universe and
Yes.
ended up doing this gathering at your home.
About a week. And most of that time was spent writing my book. The booklet, not a book. Not my book. A booklet for it. But it's full of nuggets and wisdom that were helpful for me to get through the holidays that I really felt I needed to share. So I did bring together, I think it was 5 people in a week's time with no advertising.
That's incredible. Can you imagine what would happen if you
tried?
Yeah.
No,
and not that she's not trying. I'm not saying that, but she's not advertising. You're not advertising right now.
If I had put any effort into making that a big event, I can't imagine.
Don't you see her public speaking? For sure, right? Yeah. Go on tour. Well, she won't do that yet, but I can see in the city there being some pretty magnificent gatherings of people that would be very inspired to listen to this lovely lady talk about your story. And so when you brought these women together, what was your takeaway from what they learned? Like, how did that go down for you?
The biggest thing that came from that was community. They were all looking for a safe space to share their experiences. They weren't looking for solutions. They weren't looking for answers. They just wanted to be heard, to be held, and for it to feel safe. It really is all about the community.
It's all about the community. And then from that, that's when the Michigan thing happened.
I did. I traveled to Michigan, and I spoke at a retreat on letting go. And this retreat, another one that I didn't host that one though, but I did fill the room. They came. I filled the room with 10 people that came to a women's retreat, so they didn't stay overnight.
Okay. That's really incredible though, because they traveled quite a distance to come together and listen and learn from each other.
Yes.
Which is the whole point of this.
And that was a beautiful one too, where we discovered, I think the biggest thing I took away from that was, because I don't believe that I have anything unique to say, but I had a friend call me after that, and she's like, Bridget, I was thinking about what you said. And I was so touched, because in order for that particular, I'm talking about you, Debbie, in order for my friend to say that to me, I must have said something profound enough that it reached her, and I was inspired by that, the idea
that you were impacting somebody in such a positive way, which is really, again, incredible for the amount of time or the little amount of time that has passed since all of this started. I think that's inspirational.
It's fascinating to me, and it keeps me moving forward.
So if you were to provide the audience, our listener, with the number one takeaway as a widow, receiving such a loss in life, what would your words of wisdom be to help them through the recovery period? Because you never fully recover from loss, right? It's all on how you pivot to restart life when you go through something like this. So what's that singular thought that you have?
There's so many things.
I know.
But if I only had one word of advice, I do believe it is to get up and do it anyway.
Get up.
Get up. Do it. You know what it is.
Yeah. The thing.
The thing. If it's brushing your teeth today, because I tell you,
there are days.
There may have been a day or two where I was not at the top of my list. But you get up and you do it anyway. You get up and you show up for the world.
You get up and you show up.
You get up, you show up for yourself, you show up for the world.
Show up for your family, your children, your partners, whatever that is. There's a whole world out there waiting for you.
Just doing it, it kind of propels you forward. And you go to bed at night and you feel like you accomplished one thing, and honestly, it really could be the shower because
Sometimes, some days.
yeah, some days there were days where I forgot to cook dinner for Garrett because it wasn't my job, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
we should eat.
We should eat. So I think this year in 2024 is going to be a remarkable year for you of both growth and recovery, both. And I cannot wait to share your information because you're going to pack the room and you're going to need to be at some location where people can flock to listen to Miss Bridget here because you're eloquent and lovely and you have a beautiful story. So I'm really glad that you took the time today to be here with
Well,
Carter and I.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity and the platform because
Oh, we've barely skimmed the surface. I think there's a lot more for you to share. She's going to have a book in her future.
it's so funny. I really am
Yeah, she is.
working on the book.
I know she is. I know this.
I
She
am.
didn't tell me. I just knew.
Yes, because she is she's very pushy in a very good way.
I
So
am. Anyone who knows me knows this to be true.
yes.
All right, everybody. We really appreciate you listening in on Bridget Summers' beautiful story. We hope it was inspirational for you. If you have any questions at all, please message us. And please do subscribe. Push on that little button and subscribe and follow us because we have so many beautiful stories to share and we'd love you to be a part of our community. Thank you so much for being with us today. See you next time on Fly the Coop.